Ongoing coverage now on a double murder trial in Wilmington. Jury selection is now over in the trial of Raquel Adams. He's accused of killing 2 people back in 2021. WECT's Ariana Bertolotti was in court today. Ariana, that was a lengthy jury selection process.
It was, Fran. It took 5 days to seat 12 jurors and find 3 alternates. It didn't help matters that the 12th juror was released for personal reasons over the weekend. So today, 50 new potential jurors were brought in to continue the search. 5 days is a lot longer, you'll see, for most trials. Part of the problem is the high-profile nature of the killings, which happened at the home of a former executive of True Colors Brewing. The murders gained plenty of media attention then. We covered it extensively. So that, mixed in with a variety of reasons why a juror can't be selected, and you're left with what was a very long process. However, now that everyone is in place, opening statements are expected for tomorrow. This is when the prosecution and the defense will have an opportunity to outline their case and the evidence they plan to present. Now, I'll be here as those opening statements are read out, and we'll have an update tomorrow. Ariana Bertolotti, WECT News.
We now